Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Scribes and Scrolls Interlude 11. And in this final interlude, we are going to be looking at Vornush'ka. Nobody knows what's inside of me. And if you've been with us for the last 4 weeks as we've been doing these interludes, we always give you a heads up at the start of these. Hey, sorry, we're not live. These are pre-recorded, but guess what? We are live right now. This is not a recording, just to prove it. Hey, Hawkmere in chat. Thank you, Carrie, for the 500 bits to the treasury for the orc. Just proof that we are live. But as a little bit of a warning or a heads up, I've made a note of the 500 bits, and if you choose to support the stream through subscriptions, resubs, gifting subs, bits, or tips, I'm making a note, and all of those domain tomes will be awarded to the book club when we return live next week. I'm going to preface this episode with, I should probably do this in general for all of our sessions, but just a little bit of a content warning. We are going to be delving into some deep psychology of an inherently potentially inherently evil character, and in some evil influences of the Blood Axe. We'll be getting into some potentially dark psychological territory, as well as potentially visceral descriptions and things like that. So just know that Ricky and I are all on board for that. But if that's not your cup of tea, feel free to check any of the other D&D streams or TTRPG streams that are out there. But consider yourself warned. This, as I said, is our last of our interludes. If you've missed all of the others, please do tune in to or head over to youtube.com/mini-terrain-domain, where all of the VODs so far have been uploaded. You can check those out there and see what's up with all of our other characters. And as I said, we'll be returning next week with live shows, as well as our I believe, I have to double check the calendar, but I believe next Tuesday is the return of Descent into Avernus, Road Warriors of Hell, and we are looking at possibly next week or the week after to return with the final arc of the Dawnbringers. We are, before we get into the actual game here, I do want to mention one last thing, and that is just a quick check-in, as we always do before we get into our D&D games. Just a reminder that you matter. Your presence on this earth makes a difference, whether or not you believe it to be true. It's true. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to, if you're struggling, to feel those feelings, but please know you do not have to struggle alone. There is help out there available, and we try to make it as easy as we can for you. All you have to do is come to our chat and type !help, as I have just done, and a couple of URLs will pop up. findahelpline.com, or you can check out takethis.org's growing list of resources. Please do check out those sites, bookmark them, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. With that, Ricky, are you ready to play some Dungeons and Dragons? All right, let's get into setting the scene here. All around you, the fires of the Bear Clan encampment burn. The air is thick with the smoke of burning tents and burning bodies. The heady aroma of burnt flesh and boiling blood fills your nostrils. Even now, you can still hear the screams of the dying and the war cries of the Blood Axe clan of orcs as they continue in the onslaught against the Bear Clan. At your feet lies the headless corpse of the leader of the Bear Clan. Beheaded by you, moments after he caved in the skull of your own mother, killing her instantly. Her body lies just a few feet away from you. At your side rests the Blood Axe. Even now, as you stand there, you can hear amongst the screams and cries and lamentations, you hear the deep whispering of the Blood Axe. You've only momentarily claimed it. You've had but a moment with this powerful relic of your ancestors. Having just moments before disarmed your half-orc brother, Vorn, who had claimed it, or attempted to claim it, when it fell from your mother's grasp. You look down, Vornush'ka. The firelight dancing in your eyes. You look down into the open, wide eyes of Vornuch. You hold the back of his head in your left hand. Two of your mother's husbands hold his arms, holding him back as he is knelt in front of you. You have pulled the knife from your belt, having declared that you will maintain the promise that your mother made you make to not kill your brother. But she didn't say anything about marking him. Vornush'ka, in this moment, the blade is in your hand, and you are carving the mark of shame into your half-orc, half-brother Vornuch. What are you doing? What are you saying? And or what is going through your mind in this moment?
Vornush'ka is gripping the blade, and at moments she feels herself quivering with anger, and then steadies her hand, and as she begins to carve the first half circle for the mark of shame, a flashback memory occurs in her mind of Vorn and her. She's was attacked by a bear, thinking that she was strong enough to take on the bear, and she wasn't, because she was still 8 or 9 years old. And Vorn came in and helped her. And that memory flashes through her mind as she completes the first half circle through the mark of shame. And his forehead like splits open like a cracked lip as the blood just kind of like spurts out, and the blood takes on this brighter luminescence, and Vornush'ka notices it as she hears whispers from the Blood Axe. And then she begins to draw the next line on his head. And as she draws this vertical line going down for the mark of shame, she sees a flashback of their mother with the three of them sharing a boar and them laughing and sharing happiness between each other and pride over themselves. Then as she carves a diagonal line, there's another flashback of when Vorn, she sees him looking over a hilltop, writing in his journal, staring at the stars. And he explains to her the different constellations and what they mean. And then she carves a horizontal line, and as the blood is going across the blade, she sees another vision of him teaching her how to read. And as each stroke carves across the top of his forehead, her hand is steady, firm, and hard. And in the last line she draws across his forehead, she sees her mother's face being split and crushed in by a warhammer. And she sees her spying on Vorn with that bitch of a girlfriend and all the dead that are here and the mother. And then she leans in the blade just a little bit so that he knows, and she can feel it just through the blade, the bone on his forehead, as she drags the blade away from him.
As you pull,
her breath is like breathing, winter air.
Yeah, you see it in thick plumes, backlit by the flames at the center of this Bear Clan tribe. And you hear, to his credit, Vorn doesn't cry out. He grits his teeth. But Vorn's not able to hold back the tears that form at the corner of his eyes and run down, mixing with the blood pouring down his forehead. With each successive cut, the whispers of the blood axe grow louder in your mind. You watch as you pull the blade away from Vorn's forehead. You see a couple drops fall from the blade, and instead of falling straight down, they arc towards the blood axe. And in your mind you hear, amidst those whispers of you suddenly hear a sigh of satisfaction as the blood touches the blade. Seeing that you have carved the mark into his forehead, your mother's two husbands roughly haul Vorn to his feet. And one of them turns to you, and an orc says, "And what do we do with the blood traitor?"
We let him go. Unlike you, Vorn, I honor the promises that I made. Somehow, Mother always knew, and she made me promise not to kill you. But you are never to return. You are never to come back to the tribe. I promise you, Vorn, The next time I see you, I will kill you.
You see, as you say this, Vorn doesn't say anything to you. But you see in his eyes, he recognizes the truth of what you said. You also see him give you a look. I would like you to roll an insight check.
Ooh, that is a 5.
It's hard for you to tell exactly what Vorn is thinking as he looks at you. You think maybe it's pity. The husbands release Vorn. And he looks down at the blood axe. And then he looks back at you one last time as he turns and runs into the darkness. One of the orcs' warhounds barks ferociously.
Yeah. Give chase to the survivors, for none shall survive our wrath. Duffdug, Songbu, Jacob, prepare my mother's body. Vornush'ka,
Oh, go ahead.
Vornush'ka, as Vorn runs into the distance, she turns her back and picks up the head of the Bear King or Bear Chieftain and holds it up in front of the tribe with the blood axe in her dominant hand as she holds it up, and the blood is dripping out of whatever's left inside of the head. Yeah.
Your mother's husbands follow your orders. They gather up your mother's body, and your tribe begins to make their way back to your encampment. Does your tribe travel predominantly on foot, by horseback, or what other method of... What is their method of raiding?
We have our warhounds, and we have our... the only time we use a horse or horses is when it's a long raid down and back. We primarily go by foot. It allows us more mobility, the element of surprise. We may have a few designated cavalry people, and so those are typically the bodyguards of the chief, and they walk alongside the chief on horse. So that's about it. Otherwise, it's all on foot.
So as the raiding party forms up and moves victoriously back towards camp, your mother's husbands bear the body of your mother, and the blood guard, the mounted blood guard, takes up their positions on either side of you.
So hardcore.
You have a couple hours of marching back. Make me a perception check.
That's going to be a 17.
You can feel the eyes of several of the tribe. As you march back, they are glancing, stealing furtive glances towards you. Your mother's husbands, perhaps more so than any other, knowing that traditionally, with the changing of the guard in such a way, and a new chief, that the previous chief's spouses are usually murdered. But your first order was for them to secure your mother's body, and they are following that order, but they are stealing glances. The only ones that don't steal glances at you are the mounted blood guard, 4 of them. In between catching these glances, though, Vornush'ka, you feel the power coursing through your body. You've been on raids before. You have felt the thrill, the adrenaline rush of battle, the blood frenzy that you feel when on a raid, spilling blood and pillaging. But this is different. Usually, in the aftermath of a raid, the tribe takes to drinking mead and fermented yak's milk and other substances to prolong that feeling of the height of the raid. You feel that as the adrenaline, as if you're still in the midst of the battle, coursing through you. You feel it emanating, originating from the blood axe held in your dominant hand. I would like you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Ooh, another 17.
You feel as if thorn-covered vines have begun to sprout out from the handle of this axe and wrap themselves tightly around your wrist and up your arm. You feel the force of the axe attempting to almost physically tear your flesh away from your bone. But with that 17, you're able to resist this first onslaught. What do you think or do?
Vornush'ka feels the jolt of adrenaline of both. It feels like a jump scare, but also an excited anticipation of scaring someone at the same time. And she looks around at all the orcs, females and the men and the blood guard. And she looks at her mother's body being carried on a what is that when people, a gurney, carried on a makeshift gurney with her husband's carrying her. And she looks over at her father, Grimfang, can see his fear and animosity. And she remembers back to where her and her mother was sitting at a fire, and her mother telling her that she must be steadfast in the face of fear and prepare herself always, that her emotions are useful in both when they're out of control and when they are in control, and to know the difference and when to use each one. And Vornush'ka remembers that day in front of the fire and didn't make any sense until now. Vornush'ka is going to look to the singular shaman that is in a company with the blood guard. It is a older orc, typically frail and smaller. Pretkag, and says to the shaman, "My mother has trusted you for decades. Tell me, what can I expect from this blade, this axe that I hold now?"
Pritkog is the Blood Axe Shaman, and traditionally the orc shamans are known as Orc Eyes of Gromsh. And Pritkog looks at you with their one eye, having plucked their own eye from their face in dedication to Gromsh so many decades ago. Though they are old enough, and by orc standards, frail enough to be slightly bent at the shoulders and walk with a staff, they keep pace with you.
Mm-hmm.
And for a long moment, they say nothing. And then they look back at you. Unless I am mistaken, it has already begun. From the moment you claimed the axe, it will have begun to exert its influence over you. But it is not necessarily a possession. It is a symbiosis. You are in turmoil, young Vornush'ka. And this is what you can expect. Turmoil and chaos. You and the Blood Axe will wrestle for control over each other. If you are to lead this tribe as your mother did, you will have to be stronger. Stronger than the axe. And stronger than even you have been to this point in your life. If you're not, you will die.
Vornush'ka says, "I wasn't immortal before I got the axe." And with that, as they're walking through the woods, Vornush'ka finds kind of a higher point in the woods, maybe a rock formation that can overlook the rest of the raiding clan, and she stands on top of it, and she, in Orcish, yells out, "Raiding party, stop! Halt!"
I would like you to make a persuasion check at advantage.
"16 and 12.
Okay. The party immediately comes to a stop.
Inside, Vornush'ka breathes. She feels that moment of not sure how we did on this term paper, and then, oh, A+, awesome. That feeling. And she looks across all the orcs. As with tradition, I am your new chief. By not only blood right, but because the axe has chosen me. And she looks across all of the orcs with a pregnant pause. And she is the most afraid she's ever been in her entire life, but she does not show that fear. And the next thing Vornush'ka says is, as with tradition, any of you who feel worthy may challenge me. And she looks at her mother's husbands and looks at the rest of the warriors. Any of you who feel I did not rightfully assume the command as your leader may challenge me. But you may not do so until the Shodan mourning process. And she looks over at the blood guard with her mother on the gurney and looks back at the tribe. Has been complete. What separates us from the hounds of the world and the coyotes and the hyenas and the crocodiles and the reptiles is that we have a tradition of honor. We have a tradition of warriorship. So yes, we will have our mourning. And after 3 days, once my mother's final essence is consumed within this blade, those who feel worthy may step to me in a formal tournament. And if none show on the 3rd day, then I will assume the role of your chief without challenge. And then she raises the blood axe into the night sky and lets out this ferocious predator-like roar, just whoa!
I would like you to make a persuasion or intimidation roll at advantage. And I'm actually going to have you... Actually, before you do that, Make me a wisdom saving throw.
12.
I would like you to make this charisma check at, I think your intimidation is currently a +2.
Correct.
I would like you to make that with a +5.
Oh, wow.
As you feel the influence of the blood axe coursing through you.
It's going to be a dirty 20. 15
Okay.
plus 5 is...
I'm going to roll some dice here. All right. You see complete and utter devotion from your blood guard. That was a dirty 20.
Dirty 20.
And... okay. Looking around you as you give this cry into war cry into the air, and you feel the blood axe almost as if it's amplifying your voice and giving you some of the words to say. You see that utter devotion from the blood guard, and you see the majority of the tribe returning this war cry. But your mother's husbands, one of them in particular, gives a snarl and is the first to turn his back towards you when the party begins moving. You hear as you begin to huff in indignation, noticing this. A quick reminder, for those that may not be aware, in this particular moment, Vornush'ka is barely more than 15 or 16.
Yeah.
Vornush'ka is young. And there's a bit of that teenage sort of lacking in true life experience just to want to immediately huff. But you hear in your mind a voice you have not heard before that says, "Hold on to your rage, child. Let it fester. Let it grow, and let it consume, not just in yourself, but in any who would deny you your birthright. Let it fester and grow, and they will come to you. And their blood will be ripe with fear and jealousy, and will taste so much sweeter."
And at first, Vornush'ka is slightly shaken by the intrusive thought, but the voice fills her with a hubris and an emotion that just, yes, oh yeah, I feel that. And I imagine her gripping the axe harder in the way that someone like rips thorns and deriving a sense of like, and the pain igniting into rage, like when you stub your toe. But instead of shouting, she just yes. And then as she's standing on like this rock cliff edge above the rest of the raiding party, she she turns her back and then walks towards the very front, comes back down the cliff edge, down to the rest of the group. And as like there's a whole bunch of orcs in front of her, and she walks towards like where her mother's at. I imagine her mother is in like the middle of this group, and she kind of walks in between. Do the orcs part for me as I walk towards my mother?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And as they part for me, my eyes are not blazing red, but just have like a slight red luminescence to it. As I walk towards my mother, and I never let go of the axe. I just push it. I just put it in my left hand or my less dominant hand, my left hand instead of my right. And when I put it in my left hand, it feels more natural to grip it that way, even though it's my offhand. I'm puzzled by this feeling. I look at one of the blood guard holding my mother's gurney, the front one, in the way that a pallbearer holds a hearse, and I wave him away, and I take his position. And I continue to trek back to the clan's primary location as the front pallbearer / gurneyman, or holding my gurney of my mother's body as we walk back to the tribe.
As you do this, Pretkog, the Eye of Grumsh, goes to the blood guard you replaced and mutters something to him. He rides forward to the front of the formation, and you see half a dozen orcs break off at a run ahead of the raiding party procession. Eventually, go ahead.
Yeah, Vornush'ka wants to share these last moments with her mother and walk with her in silence back. And that's the whole reason why she decided to do that, because sharing this last moment with her presence still being in her body before absorbed by the blood axe somehow meant something to her.
And eventually, we see a view of the camp. Sort of a high-angle view, fires lit all around as the raiding party returns. And as you grow closer, all of the orcs that have been flanking and behind move ahead. And as the camp grows closer, you see that those 6 orcs that ran off ahead, they quickly prepared a tent, lining the path with torches for the morning ceremony. And the entire tribe begins to line the sides of this path ahead of you as you and the blood guard pass through the entirety of the tribe to this tent where a table has been set up. Candles are burning. You all place your mother's body onto this table. When her body is situated on this table in the mourning tent, the blood guard exits the tent. Then the last to exit, each of them, their gaze lingering on your mother. Each of your mother's husbands exit the tent, leaving you alone.
Vornush'ka walks up to her mother's body and looks at her caved-in face from the warhammer, sees the moment. And she feels a rock, a boulder in her throat. I know orcs aren't supposed to cry. I know that a warrior's death is what all we want. And I know this was your fate. I know you saw it. You've seen it for many years. And then her voice cracks, and the blood axe falls out of her hand. I'm so lost, Mother. I don't know who I should be. I don't know if I'm strong enough. Vorn, I loved him. He was a dork. He deserved the kick in the balls. I should have done more when I was younger. I have no one. Everyone is my enemy. My own clan. Is this what you bared when you took on this role? All I have is rage. All I have is anger. No one has liked me. Vorn was the only one that has ever accepted me. I thought I was worthy. Despite how strong, no matter how many I've killed, no matter what I've done, Vorn was the only one. And now he's gone. And there's so much. I can't feel your shoes. How can I feel your shoes? And then she touches the broken part of her mother's face. I don't know how to lead. I don't. I am so angry, but I am so sad. And as she falls down to her knees on the side of her mother, she just holds her mother's hands and puts her face into her neck and says, "Mother, don't leave me. Don't leave me." And pours out crying and horrible, ugly orc tears.
In this moment of raw emotion and grief, I would like you to make a wisdom saving throw at disadvantage.
Ooh. Let me throw another one out here. Disadvantage one. 14 and a 16, so it's gonna be 14.
As you are leaning against the side of this table, clutching the side of your mother's broken face, the tears streaming down your face, you feel strong, powerful hands lift your chin up. You hear your mother's voice. Never let them see you cry. How old are you as a young Vornush'ka, having somehow hurt themselves? It's just you and your mother in this memory. How old are you and what happened?
I am 6 years old, and I was trying to scale the cliff that's right across from a waterfall. And just before I got two-thirds of the I got 1/3 of the way up, and I fell about 30 feet down, and I walked back in to the hut, the fortress or the tribe, with a broken arm that was compounded fracture, so like the bone was protruding out of my forearm, and crying and wailing after like the 5-mile hike back from the waterfall that I fell off of the cliff.
Your mother holds her chin in her hands and she squeezes tightly. Don't let them see you cry. Your tears should be shed in solitude. You are the chief's daughter. You are an heir to this clan. You cannot afford to let anyone see weakness in you. Ever.
And this is the memory, right?
Yes.
5? Okay. Yeah, and at that moment, she forcefully snaps back the bone and fixes it in a very fierce way. And you hear like another snap of the bone. And I go, and I'm looking at her dead in her eyes in the way that a kid is like trying not to cry.
Your mother looks at you. And she begins to wrap the arm. Then she tells you, to go see Redcock. And he will put it in a splint. Make just roll a d20.
12.
You turn to leave the tent in this memory. In the brief moment before the tent flap closes, you linger just a half a second longer. Just enough for your mother to think that she is in the tent alone. And a single sob escapes her throat. And then she reaches over and she grabs hold of the blood axe and takes a deep breath. And the curtain closes and the memory ends, and you are in the tent with your mother's body.
Vornush'ka, jeez. Sees the blood axe set on the table that was on the corner of the tent, forgetting that she even sat it down there when she walked in. And she pulls the tears away from her eyes as if she's done with them. And she walks towards the blood axe. She sees it. And there's like one more moment of her mother and her brother and them. And then she sees and remembers the York turning her back on her, and her face stills. How fucking dare you? How fucking dare you? And she walks towards the axe. And then she grips it and picks it up off the table.
As you pick up the axe, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Yes. Nat 20. Yes. I'm legitimately happy on that roll. Yes.
So that gives you a 20. You feel, as soon as you grab the axe, you feel as if the thorns, it's as if when you grab the axe, thorns immediately grow out of it into your hands and wrap themselves around your wrist, but this time it's comforting. It feels natural. And you sense in this moment your resolve has... what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh. Your resolve has solidified your connection that much more with the blood axe. You feel that the blood axe, as if it's trying to resist you, as if it's challenging you to prove your worth. And with this resolve, what was pain the first time you grabbed hold of it now feels comforting. You know that you have not fully been accepted by the blood axe. You know that you have to observe the 3-day period of mourning and allow the blood axe to consume your mother's soul. But you have that much more resolve with this success as you begin your vigil. We're going to do something a little different here. Day 1 of 3 days. I would like you to first make a Constitution saving throw.
Yes. 19. Hell yeah. This is the die tonight. This
Okay.
one, this black one.
Your first 24 hours, you maintain your vigil, and you are undisturbed in this tent. No one disturbs you, no one challenges you, and you don't even feel exhaustion as you stay awake. For this first 24 hours, it's as if the blood axe is giving you the energy you need. Now I would like you in this first 24-hour period to make a perception check.
Oh. Ugh. I need tomes. Can I re-roll this too?
Nope, no tomes. There's no tomes. So you rolled a 2, so that gives you what, a 5?
Yeah.
I would like... We're going to do a D100 roll. So I'm going to roll my D100.
You want me to roll one too?
Yep. I have my number.
All right. I'm going to roll this. And I have to... Vornush'ka has to exit the tent and find a space in the woods because I gotta be. What is a 0-0 on a?
That is a 100.
2d10s? Oh, there we go.
If this were Call of Cthulhu, you would be screwed.
I would be screwed so hard.
Fortunately, this is a rolling scale, and you don't even know what I'm having you roll for. The next check for day 1 that I need you to make is a wisdom saving throw. Sorry, not a wisdom saving throw. My bad. This is actually a straight charisma check.
Oh. Well, my charisma is -1, so let's go. 14 minus 1 is 13. That's a great number.
This was a contested roll against Blood Razor, the blood axe.
Oh, wow.
Which rolled... You got what, a 13 you said?
Yeah, it was a 14 minus 1.
I rolled a 12, and it has +3. So that is a 15. On this first day, the Blood Razor, the blood axe, whispers almost constantly into your mind. You're barely half the age of your mother. What makes you think you are the one to wield me and exact the vengeance upon the world that my spirit requires? You're a child. Less than 24 hours ago, you were weeping like a baby. You're no chief. You're barely an orc. And it continues on and on like that. You can respond, but because you lost that contest, your next contest will be at disadvantage.
Can I go pee real quick?
All right, so normally, if we were pre-recording, I would just go, okay, I'll edit around this. Actually, this is like right around the time when we would normally take a break, I believe. So, perfect timing. I guess your bladder's trained for Monday nights. We're going to go ahead. So. We're going to go ahead and take a break. Yeah. Stick around. We're going to take about a 5 to 10 minute break, and we will see you on the other side. Shortest break in the history of mini terrain domain. Especially when Ricky's concerned.
Man, I was gonna blow up. I was gonna explode.
That's the real torment of the blood axe. Really Nobody knows that the blood axe was originally a bladder axe.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So for this first 24-hour period of mourning, the blood axe has been tormenting and taunting you, and you're not faring so well against it. You've held your own from a physical perspective. You're not succumbing to exhaustion, but the mental assault of the blood axe is strong. How do you respond?
Is this a test? Did you torment my mother as so, and those before her, and all the chieftains? And Vornush'ka is going to try to convert this insecurity. Like, she's trying to convert it into rage, but just like, fuck, this thing is right. Yeah, that's how she feels.
And as you ask that question, and that question continues to sort of, you know how when you have a thought, or sometimes you get a song or a quote from a movie or something sticks in your head, and there's this like secondary level of your subconscious that it's just constantly on repeat. This question of, did you torture my mother this way? Did you torture the ancestors who wielded the blood axe before? Did you torture them this way? This is constantly playing. As we go into the second 24-hour period, we need a Constitution saving throw. The DC is a little bit higher this time.
All right, got a +4 on this. Let's go. What's that? 18 + 4 is 22.
Physically, you are still going into your 48 hours of this vigil. You are showing no signs of physical exhaustion. I need you to roll a D100 again.
So my purple's die is going to be my 10s. 68.
Okay. And finally, I need you to make a contested charisma check. Straight charisma.
18 - 1 is 17.
17?
Yeah.
The blood axe gets an 18.
Oh! I rolled an 18, but my charisma's -1 on my character sheet. Damn it.
So, as this constant wondering about how your mother and ancestors were treated, suddenly this thought sort of comes forward again in your mind. As the blood axe, seeming to take joy in the fact that it is torturing you so, has spent many hours quiet, so much so that it's almost startling when you hear this voice again in your mind. It has that sound of somebody speaking directly into your ear as you hear, "Do you want to know what your mother felt? I'll show you." And immediately you see your mother holding the blood axe. She is covered head to toe in drying blood. Bits of gore still clinging to her face and her skin. She wields the blood axe in both hands, holding it as if she's trying to hold it away from her face. The blade pointed right towards her, eyes wide, her teeth in glaring white tusks as she screams at full volume. Barely older than you, maybe 5-6 years older than what you are now, in her own attempt to take control of the blood axe. And I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
12.
Your mother's scream reverberates into your head, and as you see this, almost as her scream is piercing into you, it's as if the camera pushes in to your eyes, and then we see within your eyes your mother holding the axe and screaming, and we push into her eyes, and we see her father holding the blood axe, struggling to keep it away from his throat, screaming in a cry of rage. The camera pushes into his eye, and we see his mother. And it just seems to grow faster and faster as we push deeper and deeper through the ancestral line. Everyone struggling against the blood axe. Everyone screaming in agony and pain. And I need you to make a perception check at disadvantage.
Oh!
Was that a 1?
No, my one dice says 19, the other one says 2. Oh, gosh.
Okay. So what's your perception bonus? 3?
Perception. Doesn't matter. Let's see.
Potentially it matters.
Yeah. Perception is +3. Yep, you got it. Yep.
Because of this torment on day 2 of the blood axe. That is why you do not hear the soft footsteps. You do not hear the knife that slits through the canvas at the back of the tent.
Oh.
You do not hear the footsteps that, as a silhouette, slides into the tent. And you do not see the flash of the blade that plunges in between your shoulder blades at the base of your neck, or attempts to. I'm going to make an actual attack roll.
Okay.
So that has advantage. Hit the assassin. Because of your failed perception, you are surprised by this, and that is a okay. Interesting. Well, no, actually, because you're surprised. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me just read this. Any hit scores against. Okay, so this is a critical hit.
Let's go.
Wait a second. Any hit scored against a surprised. No, I'm going to rule it this way because I think it has to hit. It gets advantage. So this is an assassination attempt, and it has to It has to actually hit you, and then it would become a crit, doing the extra damage. Your armor class, because you are a barbarian and you get unarmored defense, is a 17. The assassin rolled a 16.
Oh my goodness.
So this is what happens. In this moment, as the assassin's blade comes down towards the back of your neck, and you are silently screaming, holding the blood axe. The only thing keeping you from screaming out loud is your mother's words telling you at 6 years old to never let them see you cry. And even though you're alone, you still hold true to that. As you hold the blood axe in your hands, you yourself do not notice the incoming attack. Oh. Okay. But the blood razor does. You feel the axe moving in your hands, moving your arms backwards. And as you bring the axe, or the axe is brought up over your shoulder in this moment of torment, and seeing your ancestors up through your mother fighting against the blood axe physically, for the briefest of moments, it feels as though the blood axe is making an attack against you. And suddenly it moves just past your head, and you hear the sound of metal on metal as you become aware of the person standing behind you. What do you do?
And in that moment, it is almost as if a cacophony of voices and like an orchestra of just all these raging sounds suddenly stop and come to a dead silent to one singularity sound. And it's like her eyes flash red. He feels the axe, she grips it and swings around as the axe is behind her, and she ducks her left shoulder, dropping the weight of the axe and then swirling it around in a vertical arc around her as she's pivoting on her right foot, causing her and balancing herself with her left foot. And as she is doing it, there is a quick flashback to her mother teaching her how to balance herself on her feet when she is off balance, as she swings around at this vertical diagonal arcing with the axe to whoever dares to stab her in her period of mourning.
I would like you to roll a d20, and you're going to add only 7 to this attack. You are not fully attuned to the blood axe yet.
Oh, that's a 14. Natural 7 plus 7, right? 14.
Okay. As you swing around, the arm holding the assailant holding the dagger, they seem to sort of pivot with you and push the blade down, preventing it. Instead of you being able to strike it, they sort of move with it and push it aside, and you miss them. Yeah. This time they are going to make another attack at you. They do not get the advantage. You are no longer surprised. That is a 17 to hit, which hits your armor class.
It does hit.
You feel this blade pierce into as the axe is pushed downward, your shoulder sort of opened up. They take a quick stab with the blade. They attempt to make a second strike, but already the axe is sort of coming up, and your arm pushes the second attack away. No need to mark your damage on this one, but you take 6 points of damage. Oh, wait, sorry. There is a reason to mark this. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Absolutely. 13. My Constitution is +4, so 17.
Okay, so let me do this. You feel as the blade punctures in and deals the 6 points of damage, you immediately feel the heat and burning sensation as some of the poison on the dagger makes its way into your bloodstream. And you hear in your mind the blood axe. Now is your chance to prove yourself worthy. Make them bleed. Rip them apart. Let us see what is inside, and let me drink their blood and devour their soul. Make your attack.
And a 16-year-old Vornush'ka feels the blade going in, and it feels like getting a shot. It doesn't really hurt, but it's like, oh, a sting. Oh, there's something on this blade. You dare dishonor me by using poison? And she feels like this nuclear rage just boils up inside of her, as if yes, you are afraid of me. And she grips the blood axe with left hand on where the blade is, close to and then the right hand closer to the hilt, and just grabs it and feels the thorns reach inside of her, and her forearms tense, and she squeezes her fingertips around the blade. And can she see the assassin? Can I see it?
You are now facing them.
I just want to look into the eyes.
You can make a perception check. Straight up.
That's a 9. That's not gonna matter.
Actually, I'm gonna have you roll another d20.
Okay. Still a 9.
Okay.
9's are the number.
That one was for the Blood Razor, which does have its own stats. However, in this moment, I have to check something real quick. You feel as if those thorns that you feel when you grip the blood axe, you feel as if the vine tightens itself around your arm, as if the thorns are piercing into your bloodstream, as if the blood axe is drawing on your own blood and your own life energy. And then you suddenly feel something else. You feel the blood axe giving you something. And suddenly, it's as if the first thing you notice is that the torches that are burning in the corner of this tent, the flames, suddenly as you look, they go. You turn your head and sort of blink in slow motion as you see and you blink again in slow motion, and you turn to your assailant, their dagger held high, and you see the blood and the poison. Boom. And you watch as this drips, as the blood axe has used its power to cast haste upon you.
Oh.
Your armor class is now +2. You have advantage on dexterity saving throws, and you get 2 actions.
Oh.
So you can now make 2 full attacks.
Yeah. Vornush'ka goes, and she is going with a overhead strike directly on top of the person.
All right, make that attack.
Let's see. Am I using the +10 from the Blood Razor?
Not yet. You're still only +7.
Okay. So 17 plus 7 is 24.
That is a hit. Go ahead and do the 1d12. It's actually going to be 1d12 plus 4 damage.
Okay. Grab you to 12, so I'm going to run that. And this guy here, 10 to 12. Plus what?
4.
Okay, so that's going to be 5 points of damage.
Okay. That's your first attack.
Okay. I'm swinging it again.
Yep.
And the axe is, it is like holding lightning, and Vornush'ka, it is hard to control in that first swing. Gets her bearings and throws a 12 points of damage on the second swing.
Does what?
12 points.
You have to actually make the attack.
Oh, I got my text. Sorry. I actually have to hit him first.
The blood axe is good. It's not that good.
It's not that good, right? 13 on the second swing.
That's... Sorry, that's the total is 13?
Yeah, so 7 plus 6 is 13. Yeah.
Okay. So the second swing, the assassin manages to just duck under the blade, still in slow motion, though your blade seems to be moving at a much more rapid pace. The assassin, their eyes grow wide, especially when you say this about them using poison and that this means they must fear you. They are going to attempt to strike you. And you see them lash out with their first attack with the dagger. This time, they've taken the dagger and that they had struck in like this. You see them in slow motion sort of come in like this, coming across. And you barely have to move as the blade just whizzes by your throat, missing. And then they attempt to thrust in to your throat with their second attack. As they come in, the blood axe is there. I would like you to make a strength check. Let me check something real quick. This is going to be athletics. Yeah, you're going to make an athletics check.
Athletics?
Yep.
Where's my athletics?
Oh, no.
Do you want me to roll it on the D, or do you want me to just roll it now?
No, you just roll it.
Okay. It's going to be a 12. She has 16.
The assassin has rolled a natural 1.
Oh, wow. What?
As the blood axe comes up,
What?
and they're driving it like this, because you're hasted, you see in slow motion, as this blade comes forward, the blood axe meets it, and you watch as the blade shatters and crumbles into multiple fragments, falling away. As the assassin is effectively disarmed of their poisoned blade, it is your turn, still hasted, to take your 2 actions.
Alright, I'm going to swing with the blood axe again.
I would like you to make a wisdom saving throw at advantage. Actually, check that. Make a charisma check at advantage.
So I got 19 and a 2. Because it's advantage, I have an 18. Yes.
Okay. You feel as if this entire time for these first 2 days that you and the blood axe have been almost like 2 images that are not quite resolving, like as if you're blurry, you know what I mean? Like there's this ghost image, and they're in this moment as you prepare to make this attack and you've been wielding this blood axe, and moving against this assassin with it. You just feel this moment of zoom, as you and the blood axe align. You will make these 2 attacks using the full benefits of the blood axe at plus 10 to hit.
Okay. 18 on the next strike.
That's a hit. And then go ahead and roll. Go ahead and roll your next attack.
D12 plus 7. Nine points of damage.
Okay. Now roll the second attack.
Second attack. Oh, 25. Dirty 25.
All right. More damage. 1d12 plus 7.
Oh, come on. Indicate. Let's go. Ah, it's going to be 9 points of damage on the second attack. Oh, my single digits out like I always do.
Though they seem to be almost moving in slow motion, now disarmed of their poisoned blade, the assassin stumbles backward. And as they do so, they clumsily reach down for a light crossbow, swing it around from their back. And they shoot from the hip at disadvantage. That is a 13. The arrow just, the bolt ricochets off of the head of the blood axe.
Yeah.
And they reach up and they grab the covering across their face and go. And it's your mother's third husband, the one who turned his back on you when you claimed leadership. And he looks at you. You have no right to claim the blood axe. You did not defeat her. You picked it up from her dead body. You are no leader.
And neither are you. For I said 3 days or morning, and you would be open to challenge me in front of everyone else for the rights of this position. But no, you had to hide in the shadows and catch me at my most vulnerable point. And then Vornush'ka takes the blood axe and she points it behind her back. How does this honor her? How? You wish to take my place? No. You wish to take her place? By assassination? And she, just drugs up the most disgusting phlegm she can go. And she hawks it in her mouth and she throws it at him with her teeth. And she goes, "Fuh! How dare you? You are not worthy to be a chief. You are not worthy to be my mother's husband. You are not worthy of our clan. You are not worthy of an orc." And as she's saying this, her eyes just blaze red with red fire. "I will kill you. And let my mother's soul bear witness to your betrayal. Not only to her, but to what she stood for, her honor as a warrior. You will not be honored. I will kill you, and then I will kill your sons, and I will kill your sons' children, and I will kill your daughters, and I will kill their children. Your bloodline will be erased, and they will be forgotten. And as she holds up the blood axe to swing, the thorns just pulse as she feels the anger, and her eyes are just not only red, but there's fire leaping out of her eyes as she's saying these things.
And as you are saying more and more of these words to this orc, the blood axe, in sync with you, but in your mind, is saying the same words, and you're hearing this, yes, 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 devour him. Make your attacks with advantage.
Let's go. That's going to be a 14 plus 10, so 24.
All right.
D12. Does that hit?
Yeah. Sorry, he's got an AC of he's got an AC of 15. Yes, 24 hits.
He's done. I hate this guy. I'm only able to do 11 points of damage. Jeez.
Okay. And your next attack at advantage.
Sorry, my war dog keeps running in and out of my office. 22 because it's 12 plus 10.
All right, and roll damage.
Oh, net 12. Let's go. Finally.
As you swing your axe around for the second attack, the first time slicing into and opening his chest, your second swing comes around. As you spin around with it, you bring the axe back down through this wound, continuing it from left shoulder to right hip. You slice this man in half. As the axe cuts through him, you feel it suddenly stop as the blade has gone through this man, through your mother's chest and into the table below. And because you have reduced this man to 0 hit points, I would like you to describe what it looks like for Vornush'ka as the blood axe devours his soul, and simultaneously, before the 3 days of ritual mourning can be completed, devours your mother's soul.
As she cuts through the betrayer, the husband of my mother, Grimfang, the one that turned his back on me. All of his blood, all of his being absorbs into the axe, and his body turns to ash as it lifts up and dissipates away. But as the axe cleaves through my mother's being, her soul turns purple. I see her essence for a moment, and it's purple, and it does not go into the axe. Instead, it wanders away from the tent. And Vornush'ka's eyes are wide as she's breathing with rage, hate. She immediately grabs the orc by his upper torso, or what's left of his upper torso, and drags his like 200-pound upper torso outside the tent.
As you do that,
And, yeah.
because I know you're about to say something badass, I'm going to paint the scene.
Yeah.
Because I would like you to make, at disadvantage, a perception check.
Natural 20 and an 8.
For
That hurts
an,
me so much.
for an 11, which 10 was all you needed.
Yeah.
Your mother's essence, when it turns purple, does not wander away. It is dragged away. Something pulls it away and prevents her soul from being devoured by the blood axe. As you... And this is a realization that doesn't... This is something you will realize later when you're thinking back on this moment. In this moment, as you heave the axe off the table and hold it in your left hand, and you grab hold of the upper torso of Grimfang, the betrayer, you turn and everything's sort of... You see the flames of these torches as the haste begins to wear off, but you're still in this bloodlust, so the full exhaustion that comes after a haste hasn't settled in yet. And you notice that in the fight, some of the torches were knocked over, and the flames have begun to engulf the tent. And as you grab this torso and you step outside, the tent is... You are silhouetted with this backdrop of flames as this table where you are observing this ritualistic 3 days of mourning has turned into a funeral pyre for your mother's body. And you step forward, blood axe in your left hand, Grimfang the betrayer's upper torso in your right fang. How do you address your tribe, Vornush'ka?
And she lifts up this grotesque torso, and she goes by the head as much as she can with all of her strength. This is Grumfang, the betrayer of our tribe. He did not honor our 3 days. He did not honor our mourning. He did not honor our processes. His lust for power makes him and his bloodline dishonorable. They dishonor us and our tribe. Bring to me all of Grimfang's children, my cousins, my nieces and nephews, whomever they are, the mothers. Give them all a blade, for I will kill them all on the 3rd day of mourning. And throws the headed carcass into like the middle of the clan. And whoever else wants to challenge me for this may do so at that time. And she's roaring with rage as like it's not even fire anymore, it is lava magma dripping from her eyes, and it's almost like it's burning the ground beneath her as it falls from her eyes, and the axe itself is just ignited in like a red flame, like hot lead. It looks like lead, melting lead, but it's blood and it's dripping from the axe as she is screaming this in front of all of the tribe that have come to see.
And as that happens, oh, go ahead.
No, and it's just behind the backdrop of the burning pyre of the hut where her mom was in.
Picture, as this is happening, the camera rotating around and moving into this sort of high angle shot as you are screaming in molten blood drips from the blood axe and drips from your eyes. And we see at the edges of the firelight the blood guard and the most brutal warriors of the clan heading into the places where Grumfang's family lives and dragging them out to face the vengeance of Vornush'ka. And that is where we are going to end this interlude.
Oh, let's go! Let's go! My God, let's go!
Oh my gosh, Ricky! So when Ricky and I sat down, I said, "Ricky, I have no idea what's going to happen tonight. Let's just have some fun."
Let's just have some fun.
This was two game masters just riffing off of one another. This was like an RPG jam session.
Jesus.
So it's kind of a running joke that sometimes I have to rein Ricky in because he starts to DM his character.
Yeah, DM.
But
yeah, DM. Yeah.
I never once felt that tonight, in part because I knew it was important that we see Vornush'ka for the first time in the form of tribal leader, having been betrayed by first Vorn, and now we see that one of her mother's husbands, and based on what you said earlier in this session, her own father tried to kill her in a most dishonorable way.
Yeah.
And it was in that moment that the blood axe and Vornush'ka became one. And we don't exactly know how many years it is between this and the Vornush'ka that's currently traveling with the book club, but somewhere, I think it's somewhere in roughly 10-year time span. But we see at a very young age Vornush'ka being thrust into this leadership position and being more than ready. This was absolutely epic to get to have this back and forth and build these scenes together. And
oh man, Jake, it felt like I was watching a movie and I was just telling you what I saw in the movie. That's what it felt like. I didn't feel like I was making it. I felt like I was watching a movie. And the only throwback I had was because Vorn's mother gave him the psychic power way back last year, and she was a purple being and gave him the power. That's the only reason why I made her escape. That's
yep.
it.
No, but without saying too much, but also thinking of what's happening in the campaign currently, and the knowledge that the campaign, the party has recently learned, and part of why Vornush'ka was brought in with the group is because something is stealing souls from the Raven Queen. Something is siphoning them off. And in the moment, Vornush'ka didn't realize it, but at a later time we'll realize your mother's soul was not absorbed by the blood axe and didn't just wander off of its own accord. It was dragged away. Something else claimed her soul. And that was so good. That was one of those moments where you just gave me that gift when you narrated that, and I'm like, oh, I know what's going on here. So this was just an amazing riff session. This was the wonderful conclusion to our now second annual set of one-on-one character interludes. We will return next Monday night on the 9th of January with our regularly scheduled Scribes and Scrolls, the Candlekeep adventures. Be sure to tune in for that. This VOD will go up in a couple of days. Normally I say something about future Jake telling you who we're going to raid. I realize I'm future Jake, and I have to figure out who we are going to raid. I think yeah, we're going to send a raid over to the Painting Pirate. They're playing some Warhammer 40K video game. So yeah, let's do that. So thank you to everybody who tuned in for this final interlude. If you're somebody that was listening in the background, lurking silently, we appreciate you all the same. Thank you to all of the other players for their amazing interludes, and a huge thank you, of course, to Ricky, without whom this would have just been, first off, nowhere near as good, and would have just been me talking to myself for a couple hours. With that, we're gonna go ahead and end this stream the same way we end every stream. You can say it with me if you want. Metadata.